Hey everyone, and welcome back. Are you ready to dive into another fascinating deep dive with us today?
Always excited to be here.
Today, we're zero in on something that's been generating a bit of buzz online. Googeer herbal drops. They're positioned as these natural solutions for kidney and lung support, and we're going to find out what all the hype is about.
Sounds intriguing. I've definitely seen some chatter about these drops.
Right. And lucky for us, the Herb Prof recently did a whole review of them. So we're going to break down their findings and hopefully get a clear picture of whether these drops live up to their promises.
Sounds like a plan. Let's unpack this.
Okay, so first things first. Googeer actually has two main products, kidney care drops and lung cleanse mist. Both are marketed as gentle and natural ways to support, kind of like boost those specific organ functions, right? But I think the big question that pops up for most people is, well, what's actually in these drops?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. What's the secret sauce? What are they putting in these things?
Exactly, and that's where things get interesting. So the review goes into this, and some of the key ingredients are pretty exotic. Like we're talking Cordyceps sinensis, which I learned is actually a type of fungus.
Wow, a fungus. Okay, didn't see that coming.
Right, and it's apparently been used in traditional Chinese medicine for ages, especially to up energy levels and give the kidneys a helping hand.
Makes sense, I guess. Traditional medicine often utilizes surprising things from nature.
Totally. Then there's snow lotus flower, which just sounds mystical, right?
Oh, yeah, like something out of a myth.
Right. And like cordyceps, it has this long history of use in traditional medicine believed to have all sorts of beneficial properties. But here's the catch. How much of that traditional use actually holds up under the microscope of modern science?
That is the million-dollar question.
Right. So have those ancient remedies stood the test of time, or are they more like old wives' tales?
Yeah, it's not always a clear-cut answer. So what's the deal with these ingredients?
Well, from what I gathered from the review, it's kind of a mixed bag. There have been some small studies suggesting that cordyceps might have positive effect on how well our kidneys function.
Interesting.
But this is key. We're talking small studies here. We need way more robust research to really confirm those findings.
Larger sample sizes, control groups, the whole shebang.
Yep, exactly. And when it comes to snow lotus flower, well, the research is even more limited. Most of the evidence we have is based on its long history of use in traditional settings, rather than like rigorous scientific studies.
So we're venturing into less charted territory with that one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important takeaway for anyone thinking about trying these kinds of products. It's easy to get swept up in the allure of ancient remedies and exotic ingredients, but we got to approach these things with a good dose of critical thinking, right?
Absolutely. Don't just take the label's word for it.
Right. We need to ask those tough questions and really look at the evidence, or sometimes the lack thereof.
Couldn't agree more. So how are these drops even taken?
Oh, that's another interesting thing. So you take them sublingually, a few drops under the tongue, a couple of times per day.
Sublingually. Huh. Interesting. Why that way?
Right. The review actually touches on that, and apparently it's all about absorption. Taking it sublingually allows those ingredients to get absorbed directly into your bloodstream much faster.
Oh, I see. Bypassing the whole digestion process.
Yeah. Because sometimes when things go through our digestive system, certain compounds can break down and become less effective.
Makes sense. So it's all about maximizing the potency.
That seems to be the idea. But, even if the ingredients are absorbed super efficiently, the big question mark still remains, do they actually deliver on Googeer's promises?
Right. Do they work as advertised? That's what we want to know.
Exactly. And to figure that out, we need to take a closer look at what those promises actually are and what isn't actually backed by science. So we've got these exotic ingredients with limited scientific backing.
But people are actually buying this stuff, right? Like, what are people saying about their experience with Googeer?
Yeah. Are we seeing any results?
Well, that's where the review gets really interesting. It actually digs into customer reviews and what people are saying about their experiences, good and bad. And honestly, a lot of the reviews are actually pretty positive, especially when it comes to, like, breathing easier.
Oh, really? Like what kinds of things are people saying?
So a lot of people, especially those using the lung cleanse mist, are saying they feel less congested overall, like they're breathing better, and coughing less, especially if they had a cough before. Interesting. Thinking back to those ingredients, that kind of makes sense, right? One of the key ingredients, I think it was Radix scutellaria, or Chinese skullcap as it's more commonly known, is traditionally used to like soothe your respiratory system. So maybe there's something to that whole traditional use thing, right?
Totally. It's like those traditional uses are backed up by people actually using it and seeing some benefit.
Yeah, exactly. But hold on, gotta pump the brakes a little bit here. Remember how we were talking about how anecdotal evidence isn't the same as hard science?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Just because someone says it worked for them doesn't automatically make it a miracle cure.
Exactly. Got to keep a critical eye. There's always a chance, right, that it could be a placebo effect, or maybe some people just react differently to herbal stuff. And of course, you can never totally rule out reporting bias.
True, true. It's like reading online reviews for, I don't know, a movie. Some
Yeah.
people might be over the moon about it, give it 5 stars.
And others are like, worst movie ever.
Exactly. Personal experiences can be all over the map. What works for one person might do absolutely nothing for someone else.
Yep. Which is why, and I know we sound like broken records here, but it's so important to loop in a healthcare professional before you start adding anything new, especially something like Googeer that doesn't have tons of research behind it.
For sure. They can help you weigh the pros and cons, look at your specific health situation, and all that.
Exactly. They're the experts after all. Speaking of which, the review does mention some potential side effects that people have experienced with Googeer. Nothing too crazy, but it's worth noting.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, some people mentioned getting a bit of an upset stomach, and others, a few said they had, looser stools, especially when they first started taking the drops.
Okay. Not ideal, but also not totally unexpected with a new supplement.
Exactly. And the review did mention that these side effects were usually pretty mild, didn't last long, and often went away on their own as people's bodies adjusted to the Googeer.
Makes sense.
But as always, better safe than sorry. If you're thinking of trying it, start slow with a lower dose than they recommend, and then slowly increase it to see how your body handles it.
Right. Listen to your body. And if anything feels off,
Stop taking it and talk to your doctor. Don't just tough it out.
couldn't agree more. Safety first.
Always. And this might seem obvious, but it's worth repeating. Just because something is natural doesn't automatically mean it's risk-free.
Right. Plants can be powerful.
They sure can. So, yeah, Googeer might be this natural way to support your kidneys and lungs, but it's not a free pass to ignore your body's signals and throw caution to the wind.
It's about finding that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Right. Like exploring those natural options, but doing it in a smart and informed way.
Absolutely. Making those informed choices, recognizing that we don't have all the answers yet, and working with healthcare providers who can give us solid evidence-based advice.
Because ultimately it's about our well-being,
I
right?
couldn't have said it better myself.
It sounds like with Googeer, we're still in the discovery phase.
Totally. There's a lot more to uncover.
The review ends on an interesting note, talking about the bigger picture of what products like Googeer mean for the world of herbal supplements. Like, how do we regulate them? What's a consumer's role in all of this? It raises some thought-provoking questions about the whole industry, really.
Yeah, for sure. We talk a lot about the ingredients and the supposed benefits, but the regulatory side of things and how that affects consumer safety and even just access to reliable information is super important.
Absolutely. It's a complex issue with no easy solutions. But it's something we definitely need to be talking about, especially with more and more people turning to natural stuff for their health. So it's like we're standing on the edge of this, I don't know, this whole new frontier, right? We've got this ancient practice of using herbs and plants for health, but we're still trying to figure out exactly how it all works from a scientific standpoint. It's a lot to wrap your head around.
It really is.
Cool.
And I think it speaks to this larger shift we're seeing where people are looking for options beyond conventional medicine, They want to take charge of their own health, explore different paths.
Totally, and I get that. Like, who doesn't want natural solutions for their health problems? But like we've been saying all along, we can't just throw caution to the wind, right?
Yeah.
We have to be smart about it.
100%. It's not about blindly following every trend or dismissing traditional wisdom altogether. It's about asking those critical questions, really doing your research, and finding healthcare providers who can give you advice that's actually backed by evidence and tailored to you.
So after all this, where do we land on Googeer Herbal Drops? It's got these cool ingredients. People are saying good things about it, but the science is still catching up. What's the verdict?
Well, like a lot of things in the world of health and wellness, there's not really a simple yes or no answer. It's nuanced. Googeer could offer some benefits, but we need more research to understand exactly how it works, what happens over the long term, and how to use it in the best way possible.
So it sounds like this is just the beginning of a much longer journey of discovery, right?
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole field so exciting. There's so much we still don't know, so much potential waiting to be unlocked. Who knows, maybe someday we'll look back at products like Googeer as like the pioneers of natural wellness once we have a better grasp on how those traditional practices and modern science intersect.
That would be pretty amazing.
Uh-huh.
But until then, it's up to all of us to be savvy consumers, right? Approach these products with curiosity, but also a healthy dose of skepticism.
Well said. It's about finding that balance, embracing what natural remedies could offer, while still making responsible choices that are based on the best information we have.
This has been a wild ride. We covered the ingredients, the claims, what people are saying, and why more research is so important. We even got into that bigger conversation surrounding herbal supplements and their role in modern healthcare. Hopefully, you're walking away with a much clearer understanding of Gooier herbal drops and feeling empowered to make informed decisions about your own health journey.
And remember, knowledge is power. The more you understand about the products you're thinking about trying, the better equipped you'll be to make choices that align with your health goals and what's important to you.
Couldn't agree more. Keep asking those questions, stay curious, and most importantly, never stop learning. This is The Deep Dive. Signing off until next time.